The story begins with villagers hiding in their homes as an S-rank monster terrorizes their village. Having spent all their money to hire the heroic party known as the Dragon's Fang, they wait anxiously. A boy named Kurt, who has no talent for combat, is a member of the party, but his only role is to perform chores. While waiting for the others to defeat the monster, it suddenly appears behind him and blows him away. The party's ranger, Bandana, uses her rope to restrain the beast, but it smashes her into a wall. Their healer, Maris, helps her recover, and she quickly wraps her rope around the monster again while the leader, Golova, finishes it off with his flaming sword. The villagers celebrate, and the Dragon's Fang is hailed as heroes. Later, Golova complains about the food provided by the villagers and orders Kurt to cook for them. Bandana mentions that it is Kurt's last day, and Golova reveals they have decided to fire him for being useless in battle. Maris explains that a party can only have 4 members and believes the only way to get stronger is to replace Kurt with a mage. Kurt begs to stay, but Golova calls him useless and kicks him out. Now traveling alone, Kurt soon runs out of money and heads to a workstation. There, he meets a clerk named Kursel and asks for a job. During the interview, he reveals he was fired from the heroes party, but Kursel assures him his experience might help him find decent work. She notes it is time for his aptitude test, explaining that aptitudes are God-given talents that might reveal his hidden skills. Kurt becomes excited, but the results show he has the lowest rank in all combat-related skills. Kursel explains he will have a hard time finding a job with these results, but they have not yet tested his aptitude for non-combat skills as the technician is away. Desperate for money, Kurt agrees to try lifting a sandbag. As he grabs it, he feels it draining his mana and struggles to lift it. Kursel tells him he is strong enough for construction work and asks if he wants to help repair the walls of a frontier town. Kurt accepts, and she prepares a letter of introduction. The foreman is skeptical but hires him out of necessity, ordering him to mend the walls and promising to check his progress in 3 hours, with pay dependent on performance. When the foreman returns, he is shocked to see a huge portion of the wall already repaired. Kurt apologizes, thinking he has made a mess because he ran out of cement. The foreman wonders how Kurt worked on the upper part without scaffolds, and Kurt demonstrates his method. The astonished foreman pays him a bag of coins, promising to transfer the rest of his salary later. Kurt is excited to return the next day. After 2 days, the workers are amazed that the west and north walls are completed. The foreman tells Kurt not to come back because he works too fast and would put everyone else out of a job. Believing Kurt's aptitude for construction must be triple S rank, the foreman advises him to go to the capital for a better job, gives him his remaining pay, and bids him farewell. Kurt mistakenly thinks the foreman dislikes him. Kurt returns to the workstation and tells Kursel he was fired again. They witness a girl named Itellia arguing with a clerk who will not let her post a job because she only wants to pay if the operation is successful. Kursel suggests Itellia recruit investors to develop a mine, but Itellia explains the mountain will be impounded if she does not pay taxes within the week. Kurt volunteers, mentioning he used to excavate mines. Kursel warns there is no guarantee of payment. Itellia notes she would prefer to hire a dwarf but cannot afford it, so she reluctantly agrees to take Kurt. As they leave, Kursel remarks that Kurt has a great personality and good looks. The clerk then informs Kursel of a bank transfer for Kurt, his construction salary, which is an astonishing 200 gold. Kursel trips on the sandbag used for the aptitude test. Her co-worker explains the bag measures mana, getting heavier depending on a person's mana capacity, but it does not react to normal people. Remembering how Kurt struggled with it, Kursel realizes he must have a hidden talent. Kurt follows Itellia to her camp and notices there is only one tent. She says it is big enough for both, but Kurt insists they cannot share it as she is a cute girl. Flustered by his compliment, she serves him dinner, and he is grateful, saying it has been a long time since anyone cooked for him. That night, Kurt realizes Itellia is not wearing clothes and freaks out, deciding to sleep outside. Itellia was testing him to see if he could be trusted and concludes he is a good person. The next morning, Itellia finds Kurt outside and sees he has fixed her dress overnight. She is amazed but reminds him they need to earn 10 gold before the weekend. She admits she does not know where to start digging. Kurt finds a rock, splits it open, and reveals a crystal worth 3 gold. He continues searching and collects more gems. Itellia wants to sell them, but Kurt suggests turning them into magic crystals first. She notes there are fewer than 10 magic craftsmen in the kingdom, but Kurt makes one on the spot instantly, a task that normally takes an hour. He modestly thinks real craftsmen must be amazing to work for a full hour. Itellia goes to sell the crystals while Kurt stays at camp. A guard questions the origin of her crystals, but she shows him the royal crest, leading him to believe she works for the king. She visits a royal court mage named Mimiko, who inspects a crystal and values it at 10 gold due to its immense mana. Itellia has 50 crystals, which Mimiko buys for 500 gold, asking her not to sell them elsewhere to avoid chaos. Mimiko pressures Itellia to reveal the craftsman's identity, but Itellia refuses. Mimiko offers to make the craftsman an honorary count, but ultimately gives up, warning Eulalia to keep the crystals from other nations. Eulalia visits Kursel to ask about Kurt. Kursel initially refuses, but Eulalia shows the royal crest, so Kursel reveals Kurt was paid 200 gold and fired for working too fast. Eulalia instructs Kursel to deposit 499 gold into Kurt's account and keep his identity secret. Returning to camp, Eulalia finds Kurt has built a cabin in one night. He thinks it is normal, as everyone in his hometown did the same. Meanwhile, Golova's party struggles against a monster. His flames are weak, Maris's healing is ineffective, and their mage cannot use fire magic. They argue, and Bandana believes the party is doomed. Eulalia tells Kurt about Mimiko's offer, but he declines, not wanting a position above others. He asks if she paid her taxes, and she explains she only took a 1 gold handler's fee, depositing the rest in his account as he deserved it. He promises to keep digging. She is concerned he did not sleep while building the cabin, but he says he slept for 6 hours, which he considers too much compared to his 4-hour nights with the heroes party. Kurt finds a good mining spot for Eulalia, predicting a topaz deposit, while he mines elsewhere. Eulalia joyfully finds a topaz and considers asking Kurt to enchant it, but does not want to use him. She checks on him and discovers a massive mining tunnel, illuminated by luminous moss. Kurt calls out, disappointed he only found useless rocks called mithril, which his village discards. Eulalia knows mithril is extremely rare and valuable. He says he was looking for orichalcum, the metal of the gods, which he explains is usually found 7 kilometers underground. Eulalia realizes he dug that far in just 8 hours and even filled the shaft behind him for safety. She sees light and understands he dug through the entire mountain. After 2 days of mining, they return to the city. The tunnel now connects their city to Lord Tehon's town. Eulalia charges merchants a maintenance fee to use it, covering her taxes. In the city, Kurt meets Bandana, who has left the Dragon's Fang. She explains Golova caused a scene at a restaurant, refused to pay, and was reported to the authorities. Bandana had made the reservation and asks Kurt about his experience there. He says the food was nothing compared to his cooking. She tells him Golova ordered her to bring Kurt back, but she instead took his teleportation crystal and fled. Soldiers are looking for Golova, and Maris was summoned by the church, so Bandana believes the party is finished. She plans to keep her actions secret to protect Kurt. Bandana tells Kurt about an Atelier Meister who needs help and gives him a map to the workshop, encouraging him to believe in himself. The workshop, Itellia, produces magical items for the public, and its head, the Atelier Meister, has special rights. Kurt finds the workshop and is greeted by an assistant named Michelle. He explains Bandana sent him, and Michelle welcomes him inside. The place smells bad, and Michelle admits she has not cleaned the kitchen in 3 weeks. Her master calls her, leaving Kurt alone. He cleans the entire kitchen in 30 minutes and goes looking for Michelle, accidentally entering a girl's room. She is not wearing clothes, and he apologizes, saying he is new. She directs him to the Meister in the basement. Kurt notices a curse mark on the girl's body, which has eaten away at her to the point she feels no pain. He deduces she has not been eating well due to damaged organs, but hears her stomach growling, so he cooks for her. Meanwhile, Eulalia sells the mithril and orichalcum Kurt mined. Mimiko values them at 50,000 gold and is astonished they exist. Eulalia worries what will happen if others learn of Kurt's skills, and Mimiko fears he would be targeted, wondering how he hid his talents. Eulalia wants him to become an Atelier Meister to limit his public exposure and plans to be his bodyguard, though she knows he is unaware of his own talent. Back at the workshop, Kurt meets Michelle with the Meister, Itellia. He apologizes for using the kitchen without permission, explaining he cooked for the cursed girl. Itellia is upset an outsider saw the girl and pays Kurt, telling him he is done for the day. She worries because the girl was supposed to remain hidden. Itellia gives the girl the food Kurt made and tests it for poison, but the girl insists she trusts him. After eating, the girl feels strange, and Itellia fears poisoning, but the girl reveals the food cured her. The curse mark is gone. The man who cursed the girl senses his spell is broken and offers to reapply it, but his master orders him to kill her instead. Itellia visits Mimiko's shop with the girl, whom they recognize as the third princess, Lisette. Itellia explains Lisette was cursed, and her death would ruin the peaceful relationship between their kingdom and the Guramak Empire, as she is the king's only child with an imperial princess. Mimiko promises to find the culprit and is amazed Lisette was cured. Lisette believes her stepmother Dora tampered with the anti-curse wards in the palace. Other suspects include General Senyova and Bishop Tristan, who also have palace access. Itellia explains Lisette, now 15, must leave the palace for a year of training. She suggests creating an Atelier workshop as a cover. They need an unknown but qualified certified Meister. Ulicia shows them a crystal Kurt made, and Itellia is stunned by its quality. Kurt returns to the workshop, but Michelle tells him it is closed as Itellia left yesterday. He fears he made another mistake. At a restaurant, Kurt overhears adventurers needing a porter for a quest hunting iron golems. He volunteers, admitting he is a terrible fighter but can carry baggage. They are skeptical, but he proves his strength by lifting them with ease. The party, named Sakura, consists of the leader Danzo, a samurai, the warrior Kans, and the ranger Sina. They hire him, explaining their usual porter is ill. Entering a cave, Kurt is caught by a slime. Sina tells him to destroy its core, but he fails and stabs himself instead. She kills it, calling him the worst fighter she has ever seen. But the party assures him they will protect him. Kurt appreciates that they are not like the previous party. Sina uses luminous moss to light the cave and finds fresh goblin droppings. They proceed until they are ambushed by goblins from both sides. Kurt finds a hidden passage, but Sina closes the door, leaving Danzo and Kans outside to buy time for their escape. Kurt wants to help, but Sina says he would be in the way. Kans tells Kurt to protect Sina, and Danzo says he is ready to die for his friends. Sina assures Kurt they will survive, but then they discover an iron dragon golem blocking their path. Ulicia and Lizette, who is disguising herself as an ordinary girl, go to Kurt's tavern. Bandana tells them where Kurt is, but disappears before Ulicia can see her. Ulicia fears a trap but knows the cave is full of goblins. She tells Lizette to stay, but Lizette insists on coming, claiming she can protect herself with magic. They head to the cave where Letta sees Kurt's footprints and follows them. When the footprints disappear, she uses her magic to enhance her senses. Ulicia assumes Letta will use enhanced hearing to find him, but instead, Letta begins smelling the walls and locates him by his scent. Ulicia is puzzled, knowing Letta usually needs to be in close contact with someone to track their scent. They then hear the sounds of people fighting. Ulicia tells Letta to wait there and receives a buff from her that boosts her physical abilities. Kan and Danzo are struggling against the goblins when they are surprised by the arrival of Alicia, who begins cutting down the goblins. The scene returns to Sina, who has fallen into despair, believing they will not survive. She tells Kurt that the golem will attack them if they try to escape and starts crying, thinking that Kay and Danzo sacrificed themselves for nothing. Kurt assures her he will take care of the golem. Though she believes he is no match for it, he skillfully dodges its attacks and strikes its weak points, causing its body to fall apart. She is astonished that he defeated it. Kurt explains that he is used to mining iron golems. Ulicia bursts through the door, wondering what happened. Sina explains that he mined the golem. Kurt is overjoyed to see Ulicia and asks her to help the others. She notes that, while they are injured, their lives are not in danger. Sina recalls a legend about a man with no talent for combat, but an S-rank aptitude for mining, who defeated a briar dragon with only a sickle. She thought it was impossible, but Letta tells Kurt he is amazing. Hans and Danzo explain to Ulicia how they got there and thank her for saving their lives. Ulicia states they need to discuss something important before returning. She tells Kurt they will create a new Itellia, and she will be the head adventurer. She invites him to work with her. Kurt notes he is still working with Sakura, but they tell him not to worry and to accept the offer. Ulicia mentions the Italia will need workers and asks the others if they want to work there, which they accept. She suggests Kurt get his aptitude tested when they return, and he is excited to see the results. Mimiko is at the workstation and introduces herself to Kurt, explaining she will assess his aptitudes. She mentions she saw his magic crystal and wanted to meet him in person. That evening, Kurt celebrates with Sakura, while Mimiko and Ulicia discuss his test results. Mimiko had told Kurt his skills are mostly B and C rank, but they are actually triple S rank, and he has more mana than her. Ulicia suggests they make him their master. Mimiko says they are lucky she was the one who tested him, as chaos would ensue if everyone found out. They realize Kursel was listening, but she pretends not to have heard anything. Kurt and his friends are in a carriage. Letta notes there are no teleportation stones at their destination. They are headed to a frontier town that used to be a military base on the border of the Demon's Land, where they plan to start an Italian there. KS feels their party is lucky to be part of the plan, and Ulicia says she considered their abilities before recruiting them. Sina, however, does not trust Ulicia and is determined to protect KS and Danzo. They reach the town, and Kurt reveals he worked on repairing the walls before, but was fired after 3 days. He wonders why no progress was made after he left. Ulicia suggests they may have used a different approach. She takes everyone to an empty lot and announces they will start an Italia there. KS and Danzo wonder what to do since there is nothing there. Ulicia tells them to wait until the Italia is complete and asks Kurt if he can build it alone. He explains he cannot finish it in 1 day. Kan and Danzo are not surprised, knowing it is impossible, but Kurt says he can do it in 3 days, which they think is insane. Ulicia tells him to take his time and promises to provide all the materials he needs. He gives her a list of items and she promises to get them in 2 days. At the inn, Alicia talks to the others, and Sina decides to tell everyone what happened in the cave. She mentions Kurt Mind, an iron dragon golem, to defeat it, and asks Alicia about her group. Alicia reveals she is an adventurer who used to serve the royal family. Letta shows her royal crest, revealing she is the third princess of the kingdom, but asks to be treated casually as she is hiding her identity. Sina wonders if Kurt is also royal, but Alicia says he is not even a noble and that they have no idea who he is. She explains his combat skills are non-existent, but his other aptitudes are all triple S rank. KS is amazed, as triple S rank skills are so rare, people doubt their existence. Alicia reveals they are hiding his true rank from him because he would not believe it, and others might take advantage of him. Sina accuses Alicia and Lette of being the ones taking advantage, but Can stops her, and Danzo tells Alicia to continue. Letta reveals that Kurt broke her curse by giving her food, and Alicia notes there are people who want her dead. They decided to start an Italian in the frontier town to uncover their enemy, but Kurt knows nothing about it, not even that Letta is a princess. Alicia says he is too pure and innocent, so she wants to protect him, and Letta asks for their help. Danzo states they are not obliged to obey royals as they are just adventurers, but they recognize Kurt as their comrade and decide to protect him. Sina says they know nothing about him, and Alicia understands, revealing she only met him 6 days ago. Everyone is surprised, and Sina says she needs time to think. Sina visits Kurt and is amazed by his progress, but he says he is not done yet. She asks if he did everything alone, and he says he used his B rank mining skill. She knows his rank is much higher. She tells him he is amazing, but he thinks he is nothing special and is working slower than usual. She asks if he is upset about doing all the work, but he says he is happy because everyone in his last party thought he was useless, and he is glad to be useful to someone. Sina realizes Alicia was right about him and decides to help protect him. Danzo talks to his informant, who tells him about a man named Bibon, known for accepting quests from villains and destroying parties. She believes a rival party hired him, and that Danzo's party is the next target. She gives Danzo the investigation details. Bibon is in a bar, noting he did not expect the Sakura party to survive and now knows they are working with a princess. He thinks he can make a fortune by destroying them, but realizes Danzo is behind him and runs away. He wonders how Danzo found him, but suddenly trips on a rope. Danzo approaches, knowing Bibon led them to the goblins, and threatens him with his sword, warning he will cut him down if he harms his friends but spares him. The informant, Bandana, wanted Danzo to kill Bibon, seeing him as a future obstacle. She sees men taking Bibon away, recognizing them from a group called Phantom, which works for Mimiko. Bandana receives a letter about Maris and decides to go to Kurt's hometown. Kurt finishes the Itellia, and his friends cannot believe how beautiful it is, wondering how he finished in 3 days. He shows them around, and Alicia asks about a device in the water storage area. He reveals it is an engine that creates water, made from the sapphire she gave him. He takes everyone to their rooms, revealing the beds are made with griffin feathers, which Letta notes smell amazing. They check the Atelier Meister's room, and Kurt wonders when the Meister will arrive. Alicia says he will not arrive soon, and asks where Kurt's room is. He plans to sleep in the kitchen as he is in charge of chores, but they convince him to use the Meister's room, promising to leave when the Meister arrives. Alicia asks if he can place barriers against curses, but he cannot. So she puts anti-curse talismans around Lette's room. Lette comes out and says she wants Kurt to visit, but Alicia tells her to be modest so she does not corrupt him. The next day, Kurt serves breakfast, and Alicia notes he is like the perfect housewife. Everyone loves the food, but Alicia wonders where he went. Letta says he is cleaning marks he found in the mansion. Alicia rushes to find him and sees he has already removed the marks made by the talismans. She falls into despair, but tells him someone must have drawn them to get Lette's attention. He believes her, but she worries how to protect Lette without him finding out about the assassins, as she is out of talismans. Morphus is with Bishop Tristan, who tells her the church will excommunicate her because her party has a bad reputation. She protests, but he says they need to protect the church's reputation. Saddened by all she has done for the church, Tristan offers her a chance, saying her sins will be forgiven if she completes a task, even making her a priest. He gives her wine from the Gurumak Empire. When she drinks it, she is cursed, and he orders her to kill Lete. He reveals the wine was poisoned, so her body will reject anything but water, and she will starve in a month. He calls it a trial and says she will be freed if she succeeds. She accepts the task but wakes in a strange room, seeing a demon lord staring at her. Alicia wonders why their enemies have not cursed Lette yet, as they have no protection, but thinks it does not matter because Mimiko has set up her network in the city, and they will know if anything is tried. Alicia enjoys cake Kurt made, and Lette says his meals are the best, asking him to make food for her if she is cursed again. He tells her not to worry. A mage tries to curse Lette, but becomes confused as he starts glowing. Kurt reveals the mansion reflects curses, but he tweaked it to make the caster glow. Alicia leaves to tell Mimiko, and Kurt invites Lette to go shopping, but she cannot not go out today. General Alri at the Western Wall tells his vice general, Genric, he feels monsters are about to attack. Genric says not to worry as the walls are repaired. Phantom finds the mage who tried to curse Letty and brings him to Mimiko. Oilia thinks his allies killed him because his light would reveal their location. But Eulisia wonders why he is still glowing though dead. Oilia explains it is because Kurt's curse reflector is overpowered. She thinks he could resolve everything if he fully cooperated, but Eulisia does not want him in danger. Mimiko promises to handle the investigation, but the town bell rings, and Alice sees an army of skeletons approaching. He orders his men to fight to the death while Yenrik evacuates civilians. Mimiko learns of the attack and worries, but the skeletons disappear as they approach the wall. Yenrik wonders what is happening, and Ali recalls it was the wall Kurt worked on. Maris is with a demon who tells her the skeletons have been wiped out, so she must use her magic power to summon the next wave. She cannot believe Tristan forged a pact with the demon to kill Lete, realizing the church tricked her. The demon says they are in the Lepida ruins, a perfect place for summoning monsters, but her magic power is limited, so he tells her to use her soul as fuel. At the mansion, Ulyssia tells Kurt the city is surrounded by monsters, and Lete is worried about the others who left to hunt trolls. Ulyssia knows the monsters are from the Lepita ruins, and thinks the knights will struggle as they are outnumbered. She notes the skeletons were purified when they touched the western wall, thanks to Kurt, but fears they might break through other walls. She formulates a plan, telling Kurt to stay with Let while she cleans up the ruins. He wants to go, but she says it is too dangerous and tells him to protect Let from the person who drew the marks. The east and south walls are about to be overwhelmed. Ulyssia introduces Ali to her companions, mentioning Lete is in the city. He thinks about protecting her, but Mimiko says her intelligence squad is there. Ulyssia explains her plan. The knights will act as decoys so she can head to the ruins and stop the monsters. Ali thinks it is reckless, but Oilia says they have a secret weapon. Ali agrees but wants to join them, with Jenner leading the decoy squad. Jenric worries for him, but Ali says being the decoy is also dangerous. Jenric gives him a drink. Normally, they shatter the cup as a farewell, but Jenric pours it out, saying they will both survive and drink together later. Ulyssia heads to the gate, filled with skeletons, and throws a magic crystal that purifies them all instantly. Everyone is amazed by its power. She tells Alri they should move quickly. Generic and his men draw the monsters away as Alicia and Alri rush to the ruins. Kurt tries to create a smaller copy of Danso's sword, but is unhappy with the result, thinking its quality is only dank. Leta visits and sees the sword. He tells her it is imbued with magic. She can activate a spell by holding the blade overhead. She finds it beautiful, and he gives it to her. He asks if someone is after her. She admits she and Elysia are in trouble because of her, and their friends are risking their lives to reach the ruins where the enemies are hiding. He recalls that Golova used to draw in those ruins, thinking it a perfect spot for people who like to draw on walls. So he believes the enemy is the same person who drew the marks in the mansion. He says he is too weak to protect the people precious to him. Leta becomes flustered, asking if she is important to him. He says all his friends are precious, and he is sad he cannot help them fight. She says she feels the same way. He realizes she also feels powerless and suggests they help the others clean up the ruins. Eulisia is surrounded by monsters and gets a strange feeling that something bad is about to happen. She cuts through them but notes there are too many, even though Jenner pulled most away. She knows he has been using magic crystals to defeat them, seeing flashes of light in the woods, but she is running out of crystals. Alri is injured and surrounded, but the Sakura party arrives to save them. Sina says she found the ruins, and Eulisia uses a crystal to clear a path. They prepare to enter, and Eulisia gives Alri a soup made by Kurt, which heals his wounds. Monsters suddenly come out, so Sakura fights them, and Sina tells Eulisia to be careful. Eulisia enters the ruins with Alri, cutting down zombies as they look for the summoner. Meanwhile, Maris is running out of magic power and thinks she will die. The demon sees Jenner using a crystal to defeat his minions, while Eulisia and Ari search the ruins, so he decides to handle them. They see monsters spawning and realize they have found the source. Eulisia uses a crystal to eliminate them, but the demon appears. They realize he is the boss. Eulisia tries to purify him with a crystal, but it fails. The demon says he is immortal. Al slices through him, but he regenerates instantly, using Maris's magic to power up. Maris notes she is trapped by the magic circle and thinks it is impossible to erase. The demon says he has been watching the fight and shows Eulisia how his men are struggling. He summons more minions, saying they will destroy the gate and eliminate Sakura as they leave. Eulisia and Utri gang up on him, slicing off his head, but he is still alive and threatens to slaughter everyone. Eulisia falls into despair, thinking him impossible to defeat. Maris thinks it is over for her, having reached her limit, and misses Kurt's cooking. She hears his voice, thinking she is hallucinating, but a hole appears in the ground, and he comes out with Lete. He asks what she is doing there. She thinks he knows about the assassination plan and reveals she was excommunicated and is about to name Bishop Tristan as the culprit. He asks if she has been writing on walls to vent frustration, pointing out a giant mark on the floor. She is confused. He asks where to find Elysia, and Maris says she is upstairs. He is about to look for her, but Letty stops him, telling him to clean the mark while she finds Elysia. He says it is dangerous to go alone, but she says she can protect herself with the sword he gave her. Maris is surprised he lets her go alone. He prepares to clean the floor, and though Maris thinks it is impossible to remove the magic circle, it disappears as he mops. She cannot believe he broke it. The demon realizes his wounds are no longer healing. Elysia takes a crystal to finish him, but he stops her and decides to get serious. Letty appears, but he stabs her, and she falls. Elysia thinks she is dead, and the demon laughs, thinking he completed his mission. But Letty disappears and reappears behind him. She used an illusion. She reveals her sword, the butterfly, was imbued by Kurt with magic to create copies of herself. The demon attacks an illusion, and she crushes a stone on the floor, which purifies him instantly. Kurt hears him scream and wonders what happened. Maris realizes they defeated the demon, and his minions disappear. Everyone knows the fight is over. Elysia asks Letty why she left the Italia. Letty says she wanted to help. Elysia is glad she survived, and Al says they would not be alive without her. She thanks them for protecting her and promises to reward them. He asks for alcohol to drink with his men. Maris is glad the magic circle is gone, but knows she is still cursed and will starve. Kurt gives her rice balls. She thinks her body will not absorb them due to the curse but wants to taste his food again. She eats them and wonders why she's not throwing up, realizing the curse is gone. She knows she was saved by his hidden talents and recalls how he took care of everyone, realizing he was the one who protected them all along. She starts crying, apologizing for taking his kindness for granted. He thinks she is apologizing for the marks. Elysia and Letty join them, but Phantom appears and takes Maris away. She screams for help, but Kurt says he will visit her in jail, upsetting her. Letty talks to Kurt, and Elysia cannot believe they saved her life, thinking she has her work cut out for her as head adventurer. She tells Kurt it is time to go home. He says he is happy to have friends and a place to call home. That evening, everyone has a feast. Kurt wonders if they are forcing themselves to eat because they are eating so fast, and thinks he should prepare different food. Alri says they are focused because the food is too good. Letty introduces him to Alri, and Kurt cannot believe he is a general. He says he likes the city, thinking Alri must be a good leader, but Generic says he is terrible, and the Margarev helps rule. Everyone enjoys fireworks Kurt prepared for fun. Alri and Generic realize their wounds have healed. Kirk thinks it normal when warriors have a good meal, but they say it is not. That is where the video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.